opportunity to speak to the community that I have become a part of and I truly enjoy. Now, of course, this Friday is Valentine's Day, and we can just walk into any retail store and see red hearts filled with very inexpensive candy. Most of it comes from the third world. You can tell that once you put a piece in your mouth. And certainly red cards and other people's expressions of how we should feel toward one another. But we would like to talk, and I talk inspirationally. I have no notes. In 1998, my teacher, his name was Henry Meredith, spirit teacher, he said to me, "We don't want you to prepare talks anymore." And I said, okay. You know, it would take me, because I worked full-time at for a large corporation. And it would take 3 nights to prepare a talk. And he said, "I will speak through you." You don't need to put that on. He said, "I will speak through you. Just trust me." And so from that point forward, that's what I did. And I probably have given 2,500 talks at our church in Sarasota. We had 2 services every Sunday. So I've probably done 2,500 talks in that time and not prepared a word. Because Dr. Meredith, being a very involved spiritual being, what he does is he assesses the interest and the needs of the audience, whatever the audience, and then he gives me the inspiration of what to say. So we're going to talk today, and you can go ahead and get rid of these 2, would you? Yeah, there we go. You can still see me, right?
Yeah. It's more for the video camera.
And I can see you, so I'm not sure why we have those.
It's for the video camera.
For the video recording.
For the video.
Okay. Well, if you have to put it on, just put it on just a little tiny bit. I was thinking, this morning I woke up with a Bible quote in my mind, and that is not how I usually wake up. And I thought, well, this must have something to do with the talk today. And if you think about our own personal lives, we find it easy to love people that we like, right? We find it easy to love people who are like us. We find it difficult to love people that we don't like. And I think it would be disingenuous if we said, "Oh, I love everyone." Well, that's not part of the human condition, you know. As you know, we come here to learn. We come here to learn and to grow, and the idea is for progression of the soul. Now, the soul of us, I have a very good account, is 3 billion years old. And we've had thousands and thousands of lifetimes. We've done everything and been everything. And again, keeping in mind, our purpose is to learn and to grow, and especially to progress at the soul level. We have many great examples, Jesus and Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi, and so many others. But thinking about this, I've heard this, love one another, because all spiritual teachers, all master teachers would speak about the importance of loving one another. They would say, see the God within each person. Because we have that God spirit within us that is pure energy of the divine power. But when someone is persecuting you, someone is condemning you, someone is undermining you, it's difficult to love them. At least I find it difficult, or I used to. Slowly, as I have continued on this journey, I have started to unravel what that really means, to love one another unconditionally. And the phrase I woke up this morning comes from the Sermon on the Mount. And if you look, of course, I think most Unity people, I like Jerry Ryan's description, he calls them unitics. A lot of people play with that for a long time. But most unity people are seekers of truth. And they no longer are interested in the best guess at what the truth is. Because today, as you know, truth has many faces. And I would like to know what the truth is. Because as a teacher, I want to be sure that I'm teaching what the truth is. Not what I think it should be, or what somebody else has said in a book or a workshop or something of that nature. Well, Jesus was an amazing teacher. And I asked a master teacher one time in a class, I said, how much of the Bible has been changed from its original writing? As you know, the Bible is a collection of 66 books. They were all written independently. And then they were started to be put together in small groups, and then larger groups, until we have an Old Testament and a New Testament. In fact, the Jewish people don't call the Old Testament. Instead, they call it the Tanakh, I think. It's who wants to have the old version of truth as opposed to the new version of truth. But that's the way it goes. You know, politics has existed in every civilization. So this teacher said, 90% of the Bible has been changed from its original writing. He said, the only thing that has not been changed are the teachings of Jesus. And you will find those primarily in the Sermon on the Mount. And that is where I'm going to read from. It's Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7, Sermon on the Mount. He says on verse 43, you have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Now that's powerful guidance, isn't it? Powerful. Bless those that use us and persecute us. And we have to think about the bigger picture here. When everything is going well in our lives, we enjoy those periods of time a lot. When things are not going well in our lives, that's when we're learning. Because when everything is hunky-dory, to use an old Florida phrase, someone asked me where I was from yesterday, and I said, I'm from the Old South. And I said, where? What state? And I said, Florida. They said, no, that's part of New York and Ohio. I knew that, but I thought I could get away with it. Love those that hate us. Love those that use us. Now, our first inclination is to get back, or clear the slate, and balance the scales. But we need to remember, we are energy beings. Every thought we have, every word we speak, goes out into the atmosphere, and it has a power to it. And there are spiritual laws that govern our existence, just like there are physical laws. And then one of the spiritual laws is, as we sow, so we reap. As we speak, we bring back to us that which we put out there. So a lot of people find themselves getting into a spiral, trying to balance the scales of justice on their own. Well, I've got good news. We don't have to do it. There is a spiritual law that is always balancing the scales. We don't have to be judge and jury over other people. My other career, the one that was my primary career, and paid the bills, was working as a senior manager with Verizon. I started out as GTE, some of you may remember them, and worked for 27 years. In 1999, they merged with Bell Atlantic and became Verizon. So I worked hard, mostly in the engineering department, became a supervisor, and then I became a senior manager. And there weren't many senior manager positions. They reported directly to vice presidents who reported to a region president. So as you can imagine, in any large corporation, there's a lot of people wanting to move up and move ahead. There's only so many positions available, and so it can lead to bad behavior. And I remember being in a class. These classes were taught by the Spirit people, Spirit guides. And I said to my teacher, primary teacher, I said, how do you handle, or how should I handle individuals that are trying to undermine me all the time? I had a counterpart. He was in the same department, same position, but a different geographical area. And I didn't come up through the ranks in the telephone company. I wasn't a cable splicer or a lineman. I came in as a management employee from the outside, which was very unusual. But I had a background in education that they needed, and that's how it worked. So Dr. Meredith, who's my teacher, he said to me, when you have that occur, and someone is trying to undermine you, trying to persecute you, trying to hate you, you simply look at them without emotion and say, I can see you're trying to give me a gift, but I choose not to accept it. Isn't that delightful? Wonderful, powerful. And see, hands are still clean, We don't need to be judge and jury over anyone. If you think about it, we choose to come down here. Now again, here at Unity, we respect everyone's power of choice and whatever they believe is their truth, and we honor that. My truth is, we come down here, we choose the experiences that we will be tested with, that we can learn, we feel we can learn with. And I like to ask, when I counsel individuals, I like to ask them, do you consider yourself an intelligent being right now? And most all of them will say yes. They'll think about it, see if I have it's a trick question, Why is he asking me that? And then I say, okay, 100 years ago, keeping in mind the soul is 3 billion years old. 100 years ago when you planned this lifetime, do you think you were an intelligent being? Well, it's obvious. The answer is yes. I said, so everything you were experiencing was something you felt would help you along your pathway of growth. It would help you in your pathway of evolving at the soul level. Many people have not thought of that. And it starts to make sense that instead of looking for causes of issues that have happened to one, we start to look internally and say, what is the lesson I am meant to learn? What am I here, to benefit from? Now, not everything that happens in our lives is a result of our plans. We can be the recipients of other people's power of choice. But as you'll hear many master teachers, they will say, it's not what happens to you that's important. It's how you respond to what happens to you. And that's where the love comes in. No one comes down into this existence with the idea to be evil, mean, hateful, and whatever. No one plans to do that. What happens is fears develop. We all have belief systems that are created through our existence as we move along and progress in years. Some people don't have the benefit of guidance that's of a positive nature coming from family or other authority figures. And so they start to look for shortcuts, and they start to look at ways to kind of even the scales. If they don't have the training, then it's hard to think, well, they're doing this on purpose. Anthony DeMello, he was a Catholic priest. He wrote a wonderful book called The Way to Love. It's not how to love, it's like the path to love. And one of his chapters, it's a small book, it's about this big, and one of the in fact, somebody, a psychologist friend of mine sent it to me, and years ago, I read it and I said, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic book. So I ended up teaching a 12-week class on that little book about this big. One of the chapters that was very powerful for me, was that he said, who could commit evil? He used the word evil, I changed it to error. Who could commit error in a state of awareness? Well, the answer is no one. If someone is spiritually aware, they're not going to create evil, they're not going to do hateful things. But if someone does those things, they're not aware. And this is what I think the master teachers were trying to say to us. You know, step out of the role of judge and jury. Let the divine law do its thing. Those individuals that are living in that state of mind, they need our prayers more than anyone does. And what is love? Love is an energy. You know, it's a very powerful energy. I've heard other master teachers say it's the most powerful energy on the earth, or actually in the entire world. And they mean all the worlds. Love is the most powerful energy that we will come in contact with. So it would be advantageous for us to play a game. You know, I was talking to someone else yesterday, and I was saying to them, I met someone for lunch, and somebody whose husband had passed away a year ago, and I was, you know, asking her how things were going, and she said, we should get together, and I said, yeah, why don't we get together for lunch? And so we met for lunch. And so I was telling her, I said, I play a little game. I've done this for 25 years. We ate at Joe's Diner, which was really good. And I said, my little game, my little mental game is, if I had 24 hours to live, where would I eat? There was a place called Guadalupe Cafe. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Oh, they made a 4-egg omelet that was just amazing. It looked like a loaf of bread. You know, I would cut it in half, eat half of it, you know, when sitting, and take half home. I just loved that place, and for 20 years, it was my favorite lunch place. And I told this friend, I said, well, I haven't replaced it yet. I've got still my lunch, my dinner place and my breakfast place, but not the lunch place. But it's, you know, we can make a mental game of trying to change the way we respond to negativity. And that's where the spiritual part of us can be tested and can be tried. When someone is trying to do something to undermine us, they have a reason. Now, the reason more likely is not valid in our minds, but they have a reason, they have an intention. And like I said, it could be the training that they had as children, it could be the training they've had as adults. It could be they're not achieving or accomplishing their life lessons and they're quite frustrated. As human beings, you know, we're capable of all types of behavior. But as spiritual beings, we want to be over there in that spiritual spectrum. So we think about not taking anything personally. We think about somebody who is demonstrating unloving behavior as being someone who needs prayers. And you know, what is prayer? Prayer is just directing positive energy. There's no magic to it. You don't have to be a minister or a lay person or a scholar to be able to pray. You just think about or say what you want to happen. And it's really a great accomplishment to be able to feel internally, I have not lowered my behavior to, you know, the level of the individuals I'm dealing with. I'm able to interact and maybe even give the other person something to think about. You know, I can see you're trying to give me a gift and I choose not to accept it. I wish I had heard that when I was 12. I had a twin brother, and of course twin brothers are always, I know sisters never do this, but twin brothers are always competing, you know? And our parents refused to tell us who was born first. You know, there was some type of advantage that we both thought to be born first. We were 19 when we found out. I was number 2. After 6 months, I was fine. I had gotten over it completely. But there was always this need to balance the scales. You know, if somebody hit someone else in the arm, then my job was to hit him harder back. And then he would hit me harder back, and it just, you know, escalate. I would love to have said, oh, I can see you're trying to give me a gift. No, I think the aliens had captured me and replaced me with somebody else. But anyway, it's never too late to learn. It's never too late to change our behavior. You know, I enjoyed the commitment ceremony. And I thought, well, we only have 2 couples. Why don't we just make up some couples? And we can fill the whole stage and overflow on the sides here. Because it, you know, it has really nice meaning to it. But keep in mind, this is a place of imperfection. This planet is a place of imperfection. We make a difference by our behavior and our thoughts. I remember someone saying to me, you know, as a minister, you hear everything. I remember saying someone saying to me, well, I used to take actions when somebody hurt me, but now I just think of the things I want to do to them. And I know that's better than taking action. And this is where I go, now do I really explain to them about the power of the mind? And, you know, I said, if you think it, you've done it. You know, it might be a nice, you know, improvement, not beating somebody up because they've hurt you. But if you still are thinking about doing harm to them, it's like you've done it. So as lunatics, as people on a spiritual journey, we can take the mantle up and work to loving everyone. We don't have to go to dinner with them. But keep in mind, these are souls just like we are. These are souls who have chosen to come into the earth experience to learn. And I asked a master teacher one time in a class, and I sat in those classes for 40 years. I was a very slow student. And I said, how does the earth compare to other places that we could have a lifetime? And this master teacher was a lady, and she said, her name was White Lily, actually, I still remember her name. She said, the earth is the most difficult place to have a life. It is the most difficult of any other places. I said, well, if that's the case, why do we choose to come here? You know, so often, so frequently. She said, because you can learn faster. You think about that. So no one comes here with the intention of being mean, evil, hateful. They evolve into that. Those are the people that need our love the most. Because it's interesting when you, and one way you can do this is use, you know, a white light, visualize a white light surrounding somebody. You can change that light to a pink light. Pink is the color associated with love. White is the color associated with God. And we're pulling from that God energy all the time to help us get through challenging experiences. But when you send that energy to somebody else, many times they can feel it. They don't know where it's coming from, and it doesn't matter. But in many times they will change their behavior, or they'll say, I don't feel so bad. I don't need to strike out against other people. You know, I'm learning that that doesn't change anything. That doesn't help. Valentine's Day would be, it's in fact our sharing of love shouldn't happen just once a year. It should happen every day of every year. I had a really delightful friendship with a lady. She was the musician of our church, and I moved there when I was 26. And for those of you who are looking for your calculators, how old I am, I'm 67. Maybe give hints about 63, then 11, and all of that. But Susan was a delightful person. Very talented, like our Brian. And After 15 years, she moved back up north where she had come from. She'd gotten a divorce, and while she was up there, she got cancer. And she came down to visit her children who were still in Sarasota, and it was an opportunity to get together with her. And she would say, "There's something for me to learn here. It was never woe is me, look what's happened. It was there's something here for me to learn." And she was, one of the most spiritual people I've ever met. And I've always remembered that. So if something occurs in our lives that is not the way we want it to be, then we can look and say, what is this for learning purposes? I remember going up to see Steve Woods. He's someone who we brought in May. And he had a guide circle on Monday nights. We'd go there. He would go into trance. He was a deep trance medium. And one at a time, you would greet the spirit people, and one of your guides would trance through him and would answer 3 personal questions. What a great opportunity that is. For the most part, we don't have a chance to talk to guides. When we work with a regular medium, where they're the relay, they're the telephone, between the 2 worlds. So my oldest daughter was with me, and she had just had a miscarriage the day before, 2 days before. She was working for a contract company for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and her boss didn't really care for her and was making her life difficult. So when it came time for her to speak to a guide, a lady came in and she said, "My name is Ruth." And she says, "You do not know me, but I was a sister of Reverend Dorothy." Well, we knew Dorothy had a sister, Ruth, who was a medium, and she'd helped her start her first church. But at the age of 35, she got the flu and made the transition. In all the classes I had sat in, I'd never heard from Ruth. So this was a thrill for me to hear her speaking to my daughter. Well, her first question was, when things are not going well in your life, when everywhere you turn, you're running into a roadblock, what do you do? And Ruth said something to her that I still consider today to be one of the most profound things I've ever heard. She said, when those circumstances occur, turn around because you're in your own shadow. Turn around and face the light. And that made a huge difference. Of course, my daughter's life has completely changed since then. 2 beautiful boys, and she's a full-time employee at the government agency and all of that. But it makes sense. We're not here to be tortured. We're not here to be deprived. And certainly when it comes to love. I know many people will go through marriages and have more than one. Those are learning experiences. They're not failures. But so many people will go personal on themselves and say, well, I failed at this. I don't deserve to try again, or no one's going to love me. Well, my friends, no one is meant to live without love. They're all learning experiences. And just like the people that were up here, Jerry and Carol and Tanya and her husband, Frank.
Thomas.
Oh. I've never been introduced to him, so I just gave him the name I thought he would like. This will probably be the last time I give a talk here. Reviews those tapes like, I'm kidding. Tom, your name's Tom? That's a very special name. As you go into this week of celebrating love, think about loving people that you don't really like. And then ask yourself, why do I not like this person? Generally because we're different. We're making choices and so are they. But we can respect their choices. We don't have to have them. We don't have to live them. any type of negative emotion or negative energy comes back to us in the same form but stronger. It's not worth it. Send them love and say, I can see you're trying to give me a gift. I choose not to tell them.